Life inside the deadliest U.S. prisons. Secrets they don't want you to know. Subscribe for more true crime. Like, comment, and help uncover the truth with us. The gates of ADX Florence loomed in the cold dusk, concrete walls swallowing the last light. Inside, in one of the soundproof 7 by 12 feet cells, an inmate sat in near total darkness. 23 hours a day, every day. This was the heart of America's deadliest prisons. Even guards seldom walked unsupervised corridors here. Rumors whispered that what happens behind those doors would shock the nation. Until tonight, when investigators uncovered a hidden camera tucked behind a vent, recording something forbidden. Only hours earlier, at Louisiana's Angola prison, once a brutal plantation turned penitentiary, another alarm had sounded. A secret punishment wing, long rumored, was in use again. Among black iron bars and shadows, guards led a man down into the bowels of the facility. No record existed of that cell, no visitor logs. The man disappeared into darkness. These two facilities represent extremes. ADX, the supermax fortress where even sounds are locked down, and Angola, the sprawling hellscape where inmates are kept in tropical heat, forced labor, and whispers of violence. For decades, both guarded secrets from the public. Now, faces behind those walls would speak. In ADX, the camera footage was shocking. An inmate collapsed, then a guard stood over him, motionless. The recording cut out. In Angola, a guard's radio crackled unexpectedly. "Control to cell block J, unrest!" The prison went dark. Security alarms triggered. Across the country, human rights advocates gasped. Was this what they'd always feared? What lurks when no one's watching? As night swallowed those two prisons, investigators would soon learn that these correctional systems may hide the worst horrors in plain sight. But when the hidden camera aisles were decrypted, what they revealed would change perceptions of confinement forever. Morning crept slowly over the high fences of Angola prison, casting long shadows across the razor wire. The silence was eerie, too calm after the chaos of the previous night. Inside the warden's office, investigators from the Department of Justice reviewed the first recovered clips from the hidden camera at ADX Florence. What they saw was unsettling. A guard entering a solitary cell without logging it, then cutting the power for 6 minutes. When the lights returned, the inmate was gone. At Angola, a different story unfolded. The investigative team found a series of unauthorized disciplinary zones, underground corridors not listed on any official map. The smell of mildew and rust filled the air as flashlights swept across old iron doors. Faint scratches marked the walls, and in one corner they found a set of handcuffs still attached to a pipe. It was a grim reminder of how easily humanity could vanish behind concrete. Journalists began circling the story like vultures. News headlines read, "America's Secret Cells, the prisons that time forgot." Civil rights lawyers demanded access, while the prison administration scrambled to deny involvement, but leaks from insiders painted a darker picture. Guards allegedly silenced anyone who asked too many questions, and internal reports of extreme psychological isolation were buried before they reached the courts. Meanwhile, at ADX Florence, inmate records started disappearing from the system. One investigator, Agent Melissa Tran, noticed something strange: a list of missing inmates who were never officially transferred or released. "It's like they just vanished," she whispered, scrolling through redacted files. Outside, protests erupted in major cities. Former inmates shared haunting memories of endless nights, hearing screams echo through ventilation shafts, yet the Bureau of Prisons remained silent. Truth was slipping through their fingers, and for the first time, the public began to see the hidden machinery behind America's toughest prisons. Melissa followed one last lead: a former guard from Angola who now lived off the grid in Mississippi. When she found him, he hesitated before speaking. His eyes were hollow, voice trembling. What we did down there wasn't punishment. It was erasure. As dusk fell, Melissa realized this wasn't just about prisons. It was about power, secrecy, and control. What began as an inquiry into 2 facilities was now unraveling a nationwide network of hidden cells and buried crimes. And somewhere deep in those walls, the truth was waiting to be unearthed. A storm rolled across the plains of Colorado as Agent Melissa Tran drove toward ADX Florence for what she knew might be her final investigation. The wipers swept hard against the rain, lightning flashing over the mountains like a warning. Behind those steel gates and concrete towers lay the truth she had chased for months, a truth buried so deep even the guards refused to speak of it. Inside, the air was heavy with the hum of electricity and the low echo of steel doors clanging shut. Melissa had been granted limited access after pressure from Washington, just enough to see certain administrative areas. But she knew what that meant. A guided tour, nothing more. Still, she carried something no one expected. A flash drive containing leaked footage and audio files from former guards and inmates. What she was about to uncover would tear open the walls of silence that protected America's deadliest prison. The deputy warden, a tall man with tired eyes, led her through the sterile corridors. "You'll find no secrets here, Agent Tran," he said coldly. "Only order." But Melissa noticed things. Faint scratches near the air vents, small cameras that weren't government-issued, doors elded shut with no markings. Each sign whispered of something hidden. When the deputy turned to take a call, she slipped away, following the hum of machinery below ground level. The deeper she went, the more the walls changed. The clean white concrete gave way to stained, cracked stone. Finally, she reached a door labeled simply Sub-Basement C. The lock had been tampered with before, a mark left by someone desperate to leave or enter. Inside, she found a narrow corridor lined with empty cells. Or so she thought. Then she heard it. A faint, rhythmic tapping from behind one wall. Heart pounding, she pressed her ear against the cold metal. Someone was still alive in there. Using a crowbar she'd taken from the utility rack, she forced the wall panel open. What she saw made her freeze. A man, frail and pale, blinked under the flashlight. "Help me, please," he croaked. His ID tag identified him as a prisoner who'd supposedly died 5 years earlier. His record said deceased, cardiac failure. Yet here he was, breathing. He whispered a single name. Project Echo. Before she could ask more, alarms blared through the corridor. Red lights flashed, heavy boots thundered overhead. Someone had seen her on the cameras. She grabbed the man's hand, but he shook his head. "Go. They'll kill you too." Melissa fled through the maze of hallways, clutching the flash drive and snapping photos of the underground cells. The intercom barked orders. "Section C lockdown. No one in or out." She darted into a maintenance shaft, her phone's flashlight flickering as she climbed. Behind her, the sound of boots grew louder. Then, silence. Hours later, she emerged in the storm, soaked and shaking. Her car was gone. Black SUVs lined the road. Men in suits searched the perimeter. She slipped through a drainage pipe, escaping into the darkness of the forest. Somewhere behind her, Florence roared, arid with sirens, but no report of her infiltration ever made the news. Days later, Melissa leaked the files anonymously. The footage showed underground rooms, unreported prisoners, and evidence of experiments in sensory deprivation. Major networks tried to verify it, but officials dismissed it as manipulated digital media. Within a week, the files vanished from every major platform. Melissa disappeared soon after. Her apartment was found empty, her car abandoned outside Denver. Some said she fled the country. Others whispered she was silenced. Months later, a journalist investigating the same prisons received a mysterious envelope. Inside was a flash drive, the same one Melissa had carried. Its first video clip began with a shaky handheld camera moving through a dim corridor. A voice whispered, "If you're watching this, it means I didn't make it out." The screen flickered. The camera turned toward a row of locked cells. From within came the faint tapping, the same sound Melissa heard in Sub-Basement C. Then, a distorted voice, deep, calm, inhumanly steady, spoke. "They built these walls to bury truth, but truth always finds a way out." The video cut to black. To this day, ADX Florence and Angola remain operational. Official tours show clean halls and state-of-the-art security. Yet, former guards and inmates still claim that beneath those prisons lies something the public was never meant to see. A place where silence isn't just punishment. It's policy. And somewhere, deep under the concrete, a single tap still echoes through the steel. A message that refuses to die. "If you listen long enough," one ex-inmate said, "you'll hear it too. If this story shook you, the next will haunt you." Subscribe. The darkest crimes are just emerging.